If your Sims 4 mods suddenly stop working after the latest patch, don't panic. I'm going to show you 3 easy ways that I use to find and fix broken mods in The Sims 4. So your game can run smoothly again and you can get back to your household, your legacy challenges, your cast, your builds, whatever it is that you're working on. Plus, stick around for some bonus tips at the end where I give you advice on how to keep your Sims 4 mods organized and how to make the fixing process easier on yourself in the future. Hey Cozy Cuties, my name is Christy. Welcome back to the Cozy Cutie Club, where I post cozy chaotic Sims 4 gameplay, challenges, and tips. Let's get into today's video. If you're new to the Sims 4 mod and CC world, you might not be familiar with the tragedy that is a Sims 4 update. It can be super frustrating, and sometimes we get so many updates that it is exhausting to try and keep up. But there are a few reliable ways that I always use to figure out which mods are broken and how to fix them, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. So here are 3 of my tried and true ways to find and fix broken Sims 4 mods. The first one is Scarlet's Realm. Scarlet, we love you, we need you, please never leave us. This is what their website looks like. Basically, Scarlet keeps a list of a ton of Sims 4 mods, which you can find by going up to the mod list, and you can choose if you only want to see safe for work or if you also want to see not safe for work. I'm just going to click on safe for work. I had to refresh my browser real quick because it was not loading, but if you do keep scrolling, you will see the all-encompassing, incredible, must-have list. It gives you the name of the mod, the creator, the patch status, basically if it's broken, if we know if it's broken or not, if it has issues, etc. The last known update and the last status change, and then there's also a section for notes. You can scroll through the pages here at the bottom, and then you can even filter based on any of these. You can also search if you wanted to. So if I wanted to look up, let's say, Sim Realist, give it a second, and then it brings up all of the mods from Sim Realist. This is extremely handy and probably a good place to go if you are only looking for specific mods. It can get a little overwhelming if you have a ton of mods, if you're gonna go in here and like check them one by one. So this is not necessarily where I would start unless you know of specific mods that you're looking to check that you suspect might have been impacted by the latest update. My next suggestion is literally to go into EA forums. There are a lot of players who will come on here and list things that are not working for them, and a lot of people will then chime in and find solutions for them. There is a specific user who is always posting Sims 4 mods and CC updates and which ones are broken. So there's a lot to read through in this thread, which I highly recommend that you do. But if there's anything that you're going to look at, please look at what's not going to be covered here, because you might save yourself a lot of time if you read through this and see that, you know, some things might not even be listed here, and so you don't even want to waste your time with that. Always make sure that you look at the title, because this will tell you which patch this post is for. You don't want to be looking at an older patch and then you wasted your time again and it's not even relevant. And then all you have to do is scroll down, and all of these will be listed by bullet point, and you can see which mods would have been impacted. And it's important to note that the only mods that will be included in this list are mods that have been broken, quote unquote, or made obsolete. I will be honest, I don't usually reference this website, so I don't know how quickly it gets updated after a patch goes live. So I will just take that with a grain of salt. My last website that I have here is more so of a guide. There are a lot of different resources on this website that will just help you with having mods and CC in your game in general. Like, for example, if you go into the DIY troubleshooting page, there is a whole library of guides and resources, everything from how to do the 50-50 method, which is covered in this video, so stick around if you're looking for that, how to back up your game files, how to organize your mods folders, just so many different resources on here that if you don't even know where to start, this is a good place. And do yourself a favor and bookmark these literally right now. I linked them in the description of this video to save you some time. Number 2 is the Better Exceptions mod. This is something I recently discovered, and I can't believe I did not know it existed until this long. It makes me feel like a fake simmer. Like, what is going on? I know it sounds counterintuitive, a mod to help you fix mods, but I swear it works. This is a mod called Better Exceptions by Twisted Mexi. They basically created a mod that takes into account 3 different types of game errors. So exceptions, UI exceptions, and CAS CC glitches, and it tracks them so that in most cases it can tell you exactly which mod file was responsible for the exception. So this is not necessarily for mods that break your game so hard that you can't even launch, right? If you can't launch the game, this mod is not necessarily going to help. I recently had an issue where I couldn't even load a household, and this mod was not necessarily that helpful. Also very important to note is that this mod can be wrong or it can lead you astray, and it's not perfect. We're not expecting perfection, right? As long as it can help us as to the best of its ability, that's all that we can ask. It would be kind of hard for me to try and get an exception error right now as I'm filming this video because pretty sure my mods are working really well right now. I don't want to jinx that, but I'm going to insert a recording of me using this at a different time and kind of like run through what it looks like. So basically, let's say you're playing your game, all of a sudden there's an exception error. It's going to bring up a pop-up, and I can't remember word for word what it says, but it basically says like scan loading or something like that. And that's the mod scanning your files to see what is causing the exception. And then in a browser, it's going to load in a scan, and this is what it looks like. It basically outlines all the different things that could have gone wrong and what it thinks is most likely to have caused the exception error. It's very, very handy. I don't necessarily always read through everything, and maybe that's the ADHD girly in me, but it's definitely handy to kind of like do a clean sweep and see what may be causing errors. But I cannot stress this enough, take it with a grain of salt, because there are some times where it will call things out that are not necessarily causing like huge errors, and in that case you might not want to remove everything that it says to remove from your game. So just take it with a grain of salt. Also, it may be leading to an incorrect mod, but it is very helpful in the sense of it's a very low effort way to find and fix a broken mod, because it's literally doing the work of like scanning the files for you. It doesn't hurt to have it in your game and to take into account what it's giving you and to be used kind of like as a supplementary method. And ultimately, it can save you hours of testing if you're doing like the halving method or the 50-50 method, because it might help like speed up the process and help you find things way faster. Because let's say it's stating, okay, these 3 mods are, causing the issue. You can very quickly go into your folder and test removing those mods versus having to get to those 3 files using the halving or 50-50 method. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it saved you a lot of time. And last but not least, I saved this to the very end because it is the most effort, in my opinion, most time consuming. However, I would venture to say that this is the most accurate and most effective way to figure out which Sims 4 mod is broken, and this is the halving or 50-50 method. I know we don't want to hear it, okay? I know you don't want to sit there looking through your thousands, tens of thousands of mods in your mods folder and launch and quit your game a million times just to get to the bottom of it. I know we don't want to hear it. I know we wish there was an easier way. However, I am sorry to say, sometimes you just gotta do this. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you already have mods in your game, so you already know how to get to your Sims 4 mods folder. So I'm not gonna go through that. If you want a tutorial on how to like find it, set it up, pathing, all that stuff, then you can let me know, but I'm not even gonna go there. I have my Sims 4 folder pinned to my like sidebar here so that I don't have to go searching and digging for my Sims 4 mods folder every time that I'm gonna update my mods. This is a pro tip that I'm gonna say at the end, that I'm gonna share at the end of the video, but basically, please organize. Make it better for yourself. Organize your mods. I'll get more into that later though. So what you're gonna do is I just keep a like temporary mods folder on my desktop at all times because I'm constantly having to update my mods. So I have my folder here. It's called temp mods holding folder. As you can see, I already have something in there. I don't remember why. carry on. So what you're gonna do is, let's say you've got an issue with your mods. I'm gonna select them all. I have 42, so I don't know what half of that is, but just for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna do exactly half. But what you would do is take half, you would drag it into your temporary mods folder, and then you would launch your game. If it works, then you know none of these mods are causing the issue and it's likely one of these. And then you're going to rinse and repeat, basically. Something that I think I should mention here is that you probably want to back up your mods folder before you start doing this. So essentially just save a copy of your mods folder somewhere else so that if you end up messing anything up, you have a backup like ready to go. I never do this. Guilty. Okay, but I'm going to recommend that you do. Last but not least, before I get into the bonus tips of this video, I wanted to talk about how to fix your mods. I think that's like the least important part of this video because essentially fixing your mods, once you've figured out which ones are broken, it's just a matter of like going and re-downloading them if they have been updated, and if they haven't been updated, just temporarily removing them from your game. However, I feel like it's important to say that if you want to make this part easier for yourself, you can create a bookmark folder in your browser, but I have done that for the longest time, and then I finally decided, okay, I'm going to create a spreadsheet with all of my mods. So I did. So this is what mine looks like. This makes it even easier for me than a bookmark folder because I can filter by any way that I want, and I can check if I have them currently in my game, if they're broken, if I've been tracking that they're broken, and then I have the mod link and also the mod creator overview link. This is something that I have wanted to do for a while. It's not something that I maintain super well, if I'm being honest. I wish I was a little bit better about keeping it updated, but you know, life is hard. And so eventually, maybe if this is something you guys are interested in, I would be happy to like make it public. However, it's nowhere near ready to be public, but just let me know if it's something you're interested in and I can work on it. So for a couple of the honorable mention bonus tips, one thing that I would recommend is following creators that you know you have a lot of mods from, or you consistently use their mods. Following them on social media, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. This will help you keep track of like when they're updating their mods. Always, 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 when you're downloading a mod, make sure you check the date that it was last updated, because you don't want to spend time going through and like trying to update your mods, and then you download them all anew only to realize that some of them are not even updated yet because you didn't look at the last updated date. I have been guilty of doing this. So I would highly recommend that you keep track of dates and things like that, and not just go updating because you saw a patch, because like it takes modders time to make the updates to their mods and their CC, and so I don't think it's fair to expect that the minute that there's a patch that they're going to be able to have it updated and ready to go. Always remember, some mods don't necessarily break unless they are conflicting with other mods within your mods folders. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that's like super tricky to figure out because it's a matter of like matching. I would say that's the only time where the halving or the 50-50 method can not work, essentially, because if you remove a mod that conflicts with another mod and you think that they both work individually, but then when you put them in together, they break your game, that will drive you insane. I don't necessarily have any tips for that. I can brainstorm if you guys do want a video on that, but just a word of caution on that. Also, rule of thumb with mod files is to always make sure that you delete the old mod file before you put in the new one, because sometimes the updated mod file has a different name and you might have basically two versions of the same mod file in your game at once, which can cause it to break. I think it's okay to leave setting files. Like, I know there are some mods that you can set specific settings, because that would defeat the purpose of having a setting file, because then you have to set up all the settings all over again. Don't quote me on that. I will just say from my personal experience, I never delete the setting files and I've never had an issue. And my last bonus tip is to organize your mod folder. I have mine categorized by the first word of the file name is where like the category for the mod. So if it's a build by mod, then I have that word at the front of the file name. That helps me keep track of like where a mod goes and like what it's impacting, which can be helpful in trying to figure out which mod is broken if you only notice like an exception in a certain place of the game. If at the very least, just to keep my shit organized, I don't really necessarily have a super intricate organization process, but just please note, very, very important, there is a certain amount of folders that you can go deep into with mods. I don't know what the proper phrasing is for that, but essentially, like, you can't have a folder within a folder within a folder a certain number of times. Like, there's a limit, and I want to say it differs per mod, but maybe it's just standard across the board. I'm not 100% sure. I normally think that the good rule of thumb is not to go deeper than one folder. So like, if you have your mod folder, you can have another folder within your mods folder for housing mod files, but I wouldn't go deeper than that. If you have any tips for that, feel free to share them in the comments. If you have any tips for anything else that I talked about, please share them in the comments. It's important to remember I am just one girl and I can only speak on the experiences that I have had and that I have seen others have. So I might not have listed everything here possible in the entire world to help you fix your mods, but that's what a community is for. So please feel free to share your tips in the comments. And if you want, I can create a follow-up video to this with different methods based on what you guys share in the comments, and if I can do a little bit more research. But yeah, let's help each other out. Share your experiences in the comments, and if you have any favorite like go-to mods, also feel free to share that. I'm kind of thinking about doing a video like that, and so just let me know if you guys would be interested to see categorized favorite mod video, you know, for gameplay, for cast, for this, for that. If this video helped you out in any way, please, please, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this from me and other gameplay videos, I'm currently doing a Very Veggie Legacy challenge. There's a playlist in my channel if you want to go see it, check it out. Please, please, please subscribe. It helps us grow our cozy little community here, and ultimately tells me that you enjoyed this video, and like that I can create more content like this. And yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me at the Cozy Cutie Club, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.